This is Conversations with Ronnie Keith. Thank you guys so much for joining me again this week with Conversations with Ronnie Keith. I am your host, Ronnie Keith. I want to take the quick moment to thank you all for downloading, listening, sharing, telling a friend about the show. Please continue to share. Please continue to like, download. If you listen to us on the apps where you can rate and leave a review, I know that there's Apple that you can leave a review and a rating, and also Spotify you can leave a rating. Listen Notes you can leave a rating and a review. Please do so. Please hit the follow or subscribe button. It's easier that way for you to be able to get the notifications for the podcast when the new episodes upload every Friday. And then also it should automatically download for you. I know there's been some issues with Apple with automatic downloads, but if not, if you don't see that arrow highlighted going down, touch it so it could download. That helps me. It also shares with me where you are, where you're listening to us from. I really appreciate that. I've been doing this now. This is the Ep.6 that we have coming up here. And I can tell you that, in 5 different countries so far. So thank you guys so much. We've already hit over 500 downloads. That was as of episode 4. So really thank you all for the support. Thank you for listening. I just really appreciate it. Please continue to support me here with Conversations with Ronnie Keith. And of course, the OG podcast, the one that made this all possible, the Short Desk podcast. We on episode 166 as of this past Tuesday. Those episodes drop every Tuesday. That's me with my co-hosts, John, Steph, and Dwayne. We talk about any and everything that's going on, especially things that are going on in our culture, news, sports, entertainment. We do it all. So please listen to us every Tuesday, the Short Desk podcast, and just continue to support and download us. Having said that, as you know, I have a special guest every Friday with me to have a conversation, and this person is extremely special. We have Miss Leah Williams on with us today, author, professor, and teacher. Now, I'm not going to get into who she is. I'm going to let her dive in and give you guys a nice little overview of who she is, and then we'll have a little conversation. Leah, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
It's such
yes.
an honor. It's such an honor. I think my biggest job, though, out of all the things that you said, is being a mom to my
Yes.
favorite child. So, but
Wonderful.
yes, I teach at public school for 18 years now.
Oh, wow.
Goodness, 18
Wow.
years teaching English language arts. I've taught at high school, the 8th grade level, and I'm currently at the 7th grade level. Additionally, I teach at community college in the evening, teach a writing course, and
Wow.
I'm now a published author of 2 books and, well, 2.5. I'm working on another one right
Oh,
now.
my goodness. Okay. That's
So I'm
wonderful.
fortunate to be able to have time to be able to do all these different things.
I'm telling you, I mean, they say time is on our side, but you got to make the most of it. And it seems like you're doing that with
Yes.
everything you're doing. So let's jump into, your books. Your debut novel is called Neither Out Far Nor In Deep. That book is pretty much, is it, is it a biography or is it because I know it talks, so you're from St. Kitts. So
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, if you listen to the Short Desk podcast, this is Dwayne's sister. I just
Hello.
want to throw that out there for you. Also, Dwayne from the short desk. This is his sister. So, this and you guys are from St. Kitts. So let's
Yes.
talk a little bit about this book because this book is about Kadeem, who is going to his mother's homeland in St. Kitts, and it it isn't a. I wouldn't say it's a biography because your name isn't Kadeem, but is it
No.
is it similar to is it similar to your life story, or how did this book come about?
So it's so far from my life story, right? Because Kadim is an only child, and I have another sibling that my parents adopted. At least that's what I told him for some time.
Oh my god!
And but in our culture, in a lot of the Caribbean islands, we go through this thing where our parents leave, and our parents didn't do this. Dwayne and our parents didn't do this, but parents will leave to come to America to make this life for us, and then when they
Mhm,
get situated, they would send for us, and we would come up. And sometimes by the time the kids come up, they may be adults, they may be, but they're coming here
mhm,
to prepare. So I thought about what would it be like if a child would be sent back to my country instead
mm,
of, so the opposite of what we're so used to.
mhm,
Because the whole green card process, that's a whole other story. But being in America is so different from being in the Caribbean. For instance, when I was in the Caribbean, and I finished school in the Caribbean, my brother didn't. He finished at Colonial High School,
right.
but I was able to finish school there. It's completely different. And then what you see on TV is not what you get. So for me, I watched Saved by the Bell all the time. And I
Mhm.
thought coming to America, okay, I'm going to be Lisa. I'm going to be, you know,
Right, right, right,
right. I'm going to be this
right.
person. But you get to America and it's, oh my God, it's such a culture shock. Um, so I thought about what would it be like to send a child back to this country knowing what they know here of America. So in this
Mhm.
novel, I use a lot of lingo from my son, who is now a grown man. He's 20 years old.
All
um,
right.
yeah, he's a grown man until I tell him, grown men pay bills. When I
That's
tell
right.
him,
That's
when
right.
grown men pay bills, he's like, no, I'm a child.
Right, 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 right.
But I wanted to see what it would be like if a parent, it's about a single mom. She is tired of this child who this teenage boy who is always getting suspended.
Mhm,
So one day she just picks up and takes him back to St. Kitts and leaves him there to live with his grandfather.
mhm,
And I mimicked the grandfather off of my father. My
okay.
father is very smooth.
Mhm, mhm,
It's
mhm.
very
We've
smooth.
heard.
He's very wise, very
Yeah.
um my God. I know Father's Day is coming up, but
Yes.
if I could choose a father, knowing my father, it would be him all over again,
Mhm.
because he's he's not perfect,
Right.
but he's a good dad, you
Yeah.
know?
Right, right, right.
So I mimicked him, the grandfather's character, off of my father, because I would look at the interaction between my son and my father when we visit, and it'd be silly stuff like, Granddad, do you have the Wi-Fi password? And my
Mhm.
dad's like, what? Wi-Fi what? So I
Yeah.
thought about what would it be like if this child would have to go back into to this. It's almost like going back into time, if you will,
Right.
because in our country you have to wear a uniform to school every day. Here you can wear whatever you want. You wear slides. You wear. It's
So
different.
so with that being said, right? So you as you said, you finished school there. What age did you
Mhm.
move to the States?
So I was 18 when I moved to the United States.
Okay.
I was 15 when I moved to St. Thomas. So usually when
Okay.
when islanders get their green card. And the green card, if you don't know what that is, it's your ability to be able to live in the United States legally.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know that this thing is expensive,
Right.
right? In fact, it's an entire process. When my aunt did all the paperwork to for us to be able to do this. But when my aunt did this, my mother was a teenager.
Mm, okay.
And when we got, and not even approved, when we got called to be able to go to the embassy, I was a teenager.
Oh wow. So it took
But
that long. So
exactly.
so let me ask you, with that process, does that did
Mhm.
that include you move, because you're, of course, you're from St. Kitts, and you
Yes.
mentioned St. Thomas. Did you have to
Mm.
move to St. Thomas, or was that just a move that your mom wanted to make, or you wanted to make, or whatever, or was that part of the green card process for you?
So actually, I decided as a teenager I was going to move there. So I
Oh,
moved there and lived with my aunt for some time. So
okay.
my mom and my brother and my father, they were still in St. Kitts when I decided I'm
Okay. All right.
so. But
Making moves.
even with the green card process, when you get
Mhm,
that call to go to the embassy, you still have to, first of all, you have to be able to pay this enormous fee to be able
mhm.
to go through the process. And paying the fee does not let you know that you've gone through the process and you are approved. So you can pay all this money, you can go through
Mhm.
all this stuff and still be denied a green card.
Wow. Wow.
But fortunately for us, it was 11 of us, and
Mhm.
we all got approved.
That's
So
good. Just
that
took
was
forever
great.
and a day.
It just took, right, took forever and a day. It was crazy.
Okay. Okay.
So,
So that's a great way, to correlate the story, because it was done in reverse, as you said. You came
yes.
here from the States, but then, using, of course, your son wasn't a bad son, but,
No,
just using that as a kind of, course, to say, hey,
right.
what would happen if you sent it in? You use your father as kind of a mirror for the grandfather that the son, Kadeem, went to stay with. How long did it take for you to come up with the idea of this book, and how long did it take for you to write the book?
So, okay, so from conception to publishing, I would say about a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh wow.
What really happened is that, I mean, two things.
Hmm.
So, COVID happened.
Hmm.
That was one thing. The other drastic thing was my son got his driver's license.
Oh.
And I used to be a professional chauffeur. I would drive my son to every basketball game, every AAU game, from the
Mhm.
big house to Georgia. I think the farthest we've been is Indianapolis playing basketball.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
my entire life revolved around this child
Hmm.
who then completely fired me when he got his driver's license.
Hmm.
And I just had all this time. Additionally, as an educator, and I read a lot of books, I'm so proud to say that I have the biggest classroom library on my campus right now.
Oh wow.
And
Wonderful.
my books are very diverse. I want my kids to see characters that look like them.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
when my kids would come into class, and if you tell me you don't like reading, okay, challenge accepted. We're finding a book for you. And what I
Hmm.
realized is that I would have a lot of kids who would come from the Caribbean, and I really didn't have books that they could relate to. Yes, I had books that had characters that looked like them, Black characters, but there was none that had any Caribbean story.
Hmm.
So with all this time, I thought about writing this book about this young man who had these Caribbean parents, and the rules are different for him. And he feels like the rules aren't different because he's now in America. And in America,
Mm.
child abuse is looked at differently than
Yeah,
it is
yeah,
in the Caribbean.
right.
So I wanted to show this side of my island. And a lot
Mm,
of Caribbean islands has this, we have this similar story.
right, right.
So that's where I
Okay,
really got the idea from.
okay.
Yeah.
So growing up, was that did you want to be a writer growing up, like while you were in grade school, or did it happen after you graduated, when you turned 18 or started in
So
college? Like when did it come to you to like, hey, I want to start writing books?
so a couple of my friends have said, some of my childhood friends have said, yeah, you've always said that you wanted to be a writer. But I really didn't think about it until in during COVID, and again when
Hmm.
when my son fired me, right?
Right, right,
So
right, right.
I had all this time, and I'd written a couple articles in college because I'd taken some creative writing courses, and I'd gotten
Wow.
some accolades with them. I remember I wrote this one story about, it was an article actually about giving birth,
Hmm.
and it was in juxtaposition to, people always say this is such a beautiful experience and it's
Hmm.
lovely. And the way
Hmm.
I wrote it, one of the things that stood out to the professor was the description of the hospital being a slaughterhouse. And
Mm.
because,
Wow.
right, because people talk about it being so beautiful and
Right,
it's this amazing experience. It was extremely painful. It was a lot
right.
of blood. It was
Yeah,
ugly.
right.
When I first saw my son, I thought he was ugly. I thought he was. I
Come on, man.
I did absolutely. I absolutely thought he was ugly. He
Oh
looked,
my gosh.
and the way they sat him up, they sat him
Uh-huh.
up almost as if there was no posture. So
Hmm.
they sat him up towards me, and it looked like, imagine a frog
Oh
sitting.
my God. No, no, no.
Absolutely. But this frog is greasy.
Oh my God. I can't.
And because it was a terrible experience.
Right.
Terrible experience. But I'm glad what came out because he is an amazing person. Amazing
Wonderful.
person.
That's good to hear. I mean, you know what? I'm glad that you're being truthful, right? Because like you said, you know, um, it is made out to be a fantasy and it is very painful for women.
Yes.
Um, and sometimes it could turn to loss. You know what I mean? You could
Yes.
not only just blood, but it could be loss of life for the mother. It could be loss of life
Hmm.
for the child. So, you know, I'm glad that you took off that beautiful wrapper that they try to put on, giving birth and everything, and even pregnancy at
Oh
times
my
too.
gosh.
It's not this beautiful walk in the park for women because your body's changing. A lot of things happen, So it's a lot of things that go with that. That I'll sit here and tell you, I
Absolutely.
thank God I'm a man because I could do it. Um, so let me ask you. I want to touch on something you said uh, a few ticks ago, with you coming over here.
Hmm.
Uh, what was that adjustment like for you? Because now I want to assume, but I'm also going to ask in St. Kitts, and then of course for the few years you were in St. Thomas. Those are predominantly black areas. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. So,
Okay.
um, I mean, there are other cultures, of course, but
Hmm.
because it's so many of us, you don't really
Right.
notice them,
Right.
and
So
they just fit right in.
right. So coming here, moving to Florida, you're not in a predominantly black area anymore.
Right.
Was there a culture shock for you with that? What was the adjustment for you with that?
So moving to St. Thomas, you're basically moving to another island, but it's owned by the US. So it's the
Hmm.
same thing, except for the school is different. We're still wearing uniforms, but in St. Kitts, the teachers would come to us. We wouldn't move classes.
Wow.
But in St. Thomas and here as well, you're moving from class to class.
Right, right.
Right.
So
So
you
that,
would stay in the same classroom all day, and
uh-huh,
just the teachers would rotate in and out.
that's correct.
Okay, wow.
It's a difference.
Mhm.
Now, when I came here to America, oh my gosh. So it's not this America I'm Saved by the Bell, first of all.
Wake up
And
call number one.
right. And it's huge. It's just so big. It's so
Mhm,
big.
mhm.
And it's different cultures. However, we were taught, I don't even think they taught it to us. It was just innate, where it didn't matter what you look like. You
Mhm.
didn't, it didn't matter what color you were, how pretty you were, how you just treat people like people, right?
Right.
But when I came here, I had my first bout of racism,
Mm,
which floored me. Um, it was from a black person,
really?
and I didn't understand why, but it was clearly my accent, and she was treating me terribly.
Mhm,
My first friend here, my first real friend here, she's white. I love her to pieces,
mhm,
and it just didn't make sense to me. So I'm not gonna say I'm not one of those people who don't see color, because
mhm.
that's just a stupid statement.
Right, right,
but
right, right.
but you have to give people a chance regardless of the color of their skin. So the
Or
culture
their
shock,
accent.
or the accent, or
Yeah.
the accent. But the culture shock for me was, you expect your own people to receive you, but it was the other way around for me.
So let me ask you. Let's dive into that a little bit. I know it's a little bit off topic, but
Oh, that's
have
fine.
have you continued to deal with that, or was that a moment in time? And the reason why I ask before you answer that is that I have seen and heard also the opposite,
Hmm.
where Black American women in particular, and I say that because I see and hear it from them more. Us as Black American men, we don't deal with it as much with each other.
Right.
At least I haven't, right? And I have a lot of my friends are from the Caribbean, Dwayne included,
Hmm.
right? So, um, did that Black American women have stated, and I've seen it where, you know, Black women that are not from America have treated them indifferent, and hearing it from you, it was the opposite, and this is your
Hmm.
experience. Have you continued to deal with that as you have, you know become more of an adult, your life here has become longer, and in your profession, or was that a moment in time?
I think that was a moment in time, because as I matured, I realized that hmm, it's not the culture necessarily, it's the individual. So
Mm,
that individual has some sort of insecurity. And I realized that because as I kept progressing through this America, right, I'm still
mhm,
trying to like get through this country.
mhm,
But I have met some amazing women, and a lot, the majority of them African American, no Caribbean background at all. And the
mhm.
difference between them and that person that I had that challenge with is their confidence, their self confidence, their self worth. The friends that I have, the people that I've met after that, these are people who, they want to see you win,
Right.
because they're on the same journey of trying to win.
Mhm.
And it's not this crab in a barrel situation. It's, we're all winning.
Right. As it should
So
be.
right, as it should be. I never understood the whole, you know, only I could be on top. The mountain
Mhm.
is actually a wide road that
Yes.
all of us could fit on top of it.
That's right.
But you have to have the self confidence to be able to know that, you know what, I can help somebody else just like someone
Mhm.
else could help me.
That's right.
So
That's right.
it's different now, because now
Okay.
as an adult I'm able to see immediately. I'm able to spot the type of people who I surround me. Like
Hmm.
right now I have a small group of friends,
Hmm.
and we joke all the time. We don't have any openings right now.
I hear you. I hear
So,
you. I
but
hear you.
you know,
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Right, that it was a well. I'm not glad that you went through that, but I'm glad that it was a moment in time.
right,
That it's not something that has been something that you have continuously faced
right,
with your life here in America. Not saying that it doesn't happen from time to time, but you're also more cautious who you let into your personal space. But we can't help if we're in a public setting when things like that happen. So,
right. Absolutely. No, last week you and your wife said this thing where this time where you guys spent apart.
mhm,
One thing that you said that I absolutely agree with. These things happen to make you a better person. You should not regret that these things happen.
correct. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it does. It really does. So fast forward, you publish your first book.
yes,
That is amazing. That is an achievement. That is an accomplishment. Not too many people, although it may seem like there's a lot of authors out there, there's not too many people that can sit down and say that they've done that. And that is
right.
amazing. That's amazing.
Thank
So,
you.
oh, you're welcome. You deserve it. You've earned it. Now, the second book comes, right?
Mhm. Yes,
And that book is called Where's Naomi? Is that correct?
yes, yes.
How soon did you start the process on that book? And where did you get the inspiration for that book?
Okay, so well, let me just say a little bit about Neither Out Far nor In Deep. So this book, I'm always afraid to. I write all the time, a journal. I
Hmm.
have like a bunch of stuff, but in publishing this book, to see it, it was number one on Amazon in best.
Oh, wow. That is amazing.
So it was number one for about 2.5 months.
Oh,
And I didn't
wow.
even know this happened. One of my friends from church,
Hmm.
he sent me a snapshot, or whatever they call these things in the phone.
Yeah, it's not,
And
screenshot. Screenshot.
a
Yeah, yeah.
Snapchat.
That's
So
all right.
right. Look, the kids have to keep me hip with these words, right?
I hear you. I hear
So he
you.
sends me this. I'm running around Lake Underhill. That's where I run.
Hmm.
And he sends me this message. So I'm like, let me just stop and see what this is, because maybe it's something he needs. And I open it. I look, I can't even explain the feeling that I had. At first, I didn't believe it. I looked at the phone at least 3 times.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's been number
Wow.
one for
Oh
a
my God.
couple.
That is amazing.
Yes, yes. So
Congratulations on that.
thank you, thank you. And not
Wow.
only that, is because it's self-published. That's for me is a really big
Wow.
accomplishment.
Mhm.
Um, with this writing process, you send out your these queries to be able to secure an agent, and oh my goodness, I kept getting rejection after rejection. And then I thought about maybe because the people I'm sending it to, we don't have any Caribbean agents. So
Mm.
as the book has these accents in it, they
Mhm.
may think that, it's filled with grammatical errors or whatever. But
Right.
if the character speaks a certain way, that's how it's going to be typed. And even as an English teacher, I thought about it. Maybe that's what they're thinking. So maybe I should just bet on myself and publish this. So I'm glad I published it on my own. And now
Wow.
it's on Walmart.com. Um,
Yes.
the first time I saw it on Walmart, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm on
Books a
Walmart.
Books a Million, Amazon, Barnes
Yes,
and Noble, Apple
yes,
Books, bookshop.org. You know
yes,
what I
yes.
mean?
So I'm excited about that. So
Wow, that's
that
amazing.
happened, and as I was going through the process of publishing and getting the book cover. That's my son on the cover, by the way.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Okay. Love that. Love that.
Yeah. So we couldn't figure out a way to, I just couldn't come up with a concept for the cover.
Hmm.
And you think as a writer, you should be able to come up with these things. You should be able to. That's one of the hardest things I found in getting it done. It's hard to write a synopsis for your book because here you're having to take, 200 pages and give you three sentences. So hard
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah. Right.
So one day he was standing outside and his dad looked at him and said, "That's a cover." And that was
Oh
it. End of
wow.
story.
What about the name of the book, the title? Did that take a
So
while for you to come up with?
the name of the book, so my friend, a retired English teacher, she does the editing, and with all the stuff that's happening in the book, she said this would be a perfect title because it depicts the stuff that's actually happening in the book. And the name of the book is a Robert Frost poem. Robert
Oh.
Frost is I tell my kids he's an old white man. He's dead.
Hmm. Hmm. Right.
I say this because I like to read authors that are alive, and so that we can,
Okay.
follow them on social media or do
I
whatever.
got you. I got you.
Um, and I like to read diverse authors, and he's not very diverse, or was not
Hmm.
very diverse. But she's the one that came up with the title, and for me, it fit perfectly. With the second book, however, this is a little bit of a mystery, and I wanted to be able to do. I just want to do. I want to write stories. We have so many stories in our little Caribbean island that
Hmm.
people don't know about, and I want
Right.
those to be published. So
Hmm.
I have all these ideas in my head. Anyway, this one is about two sisters, and siblings have challenges.
Hmm.
But regardless of the challenges that you have, you still love each other, right?
That's right.
For
That's right.
for instance, I had my brother feeling
Hmm.
for a long time when he was little. I told him that gypsies dropped him off.
Oh my
And
God. You really told him that, huh?
I did. I told him gypsies dropped him off. And for some time,
Oh man.
oh my gosh, he used to believe everything I told him.
Of
Until,
course, you big sister. You gonna believe everything.
exactly.
See, my sister to this day
Exactly.
still believes everything I tell her. And she's 30,
Exactly.
31 years old.
But I love him to pieces.
Yes.
But with these two sisters, one of them go missing,
Mm.
and the other one tries to go out and find her. But in this process, she's learning all these secrets about the sister, and she's trying to figure out: do I tell the parents about these secrets and lose my sister's trust? Or if I don't tell them, is this going to hinder them from finding the sister? So this is conflict. And I thought about that because we used to go out a lot with my cousin, and I thought about, what if one of us went missing?
Yeah. Right.
what
Right.
would
Right.
what would happen? So that's how I came up with that idea. But I'm always writing. Whenever I'm sitting down, or even if I think
Mhm.
about something, I put it in my phone. But I'm always trying to get something done, especially now with my students. They are asking me, "What's coming up next? What's coming up next?" So I'm trying to. I don't want to say I'm trying to be someone, because
Mhm.
I am already someone. I'm a
That's right.
human being and I
That's right.
exist. But I want to be able to share these stories that we have in our island. So I have an aunt who turned 86 yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday. God bless her.
Yes,
That's a
she's
blessing.
she's amazing. When our family gets together, they tell us these stories, and it's, oh my gosh. The stories are they're funny, they're sad. I don't know if
Hmm.
you know this, but my mom's mom died when my mom was 9 years old.
Hmm.
So we get to hear all these survival stories, if you will.
Right.
Um, just sometimes they're fun, sometimes they're sad, sometimes they're, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're still alive stories, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
there's so many stories that I don't want to die with us. I want them
Right.
out there. So
Right.
that's why, that's one of the,
Wow.
another reason why I started writing. Um,
So you had this already in your mind when you were writing your first books? Like this was, you already
yes,
had these stories. Okay. Wow. Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So right
Okay.
now, today, I have at least 30 stories that
Oh
I
my
want to
goodness.
work on.
Wow.
So the
That's
ideas are
amazing.
there. It's the time to sit down,
Yeah. Yeah.
to sit down and get it, getting it done. But
So
I'm
this is more
excited
of,
to see what's happening.
and this is more of a mystery.
Yes,
Okay.
this one is a mystery. The third one I'm working on, hopefully it works out, but it's a fantasy. So I feel like because I'm in America and be
Hmm.
living in America,
Hmm.
there are endless possibilities. Endless possibilities. You just have to be able to find them, take advantage of them. There's there's no reason why people should fail in this country.
Hmm.
Um, no, we started. If you want to go back, Juneteenth is coming up soon.
Hmm.
If you want to go back to that dark history of ours, where we
Yeah.
started with nothing, and we started with, we had all these challenges. We still have challenges today. We
That's
still
right.
have challenges today. So even
Hmm.
when they're talking about getting rid of affirmative action and all these things that they're trying to still pull a whole people down with,
Hmm.
we have to get above that and
Yeah.
take advantage of all these things that we can actually do. Our people are so talented.
Yes.
And I say
Yes.
this because my own kids, my own students, I have seventh graders who are working on their own stories.
Oh wow.
And when I was growing up, I can write in a notebook with my hand. But no, every student has a device. You have
Hmm.
all these resources, all these tools. Make things happen. Make
Right.
things happen. So,
And that's true because I mean we didn't have anything that we could write on. We had pencil and paper, and you bear. I
no.
don't think these kids really use that, do they? Do they have to use
So
pencil and paper?
they
I mean, you
actually
would
can.
know.
Yeah, they have pencil and paper after I've given it to them. This because the writing situation. Oh my gosh, it's so terrible. It's so terrible.
Okay.
As an English teacher, it's oh my goodness.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that. So before we get away from the book, Where is Naomi is in the same, you could find it in the same areas that you find your first book, correct? You can find it on
Yes.
Amazon, Walmart, Books a Million,
Hmm.
Barnes and Noble. Um and
Any
how
place that you can find a book. Actually, you can go straight to my website,
okay.
leahtwilliams.net,
Okay.
leahtwilliams.net, and all the links are there too. Wherever you buy books, wherever you get points from.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that. So,
Yes,
Leah, you are an English teacher.
yes,
Let's talk about that, right? Because you came from St. Kitts.
yes.
They're made not, you don't speak a different language, of course,
No,
but
no.
you have the accent coming over here to America. There's some words that you may have used over there that's not primarily used here in America.
Mm-hmm.
How was that for you transitioning to become an English teacher here in America? Like, how was that difficult at all for you, or was it difficult for the students? Did you run into any problems with that? How did that work for you?
So for me, there wasn't really that many challenges because, first of all, we speak the Queen's English.
Right. The proper way of saying
Right,
things.
right.
Right.
We speak the
Right.
Queen's English. We were taught. We have the British school system in our country. So, if anything, no offense to anyone, you should be learning from me anyway.
Yeah. Right.
But we speak. If Dwayne and I were to get together, it's a broken English. So
Mm-hmm.
you can understand me now, but if I was to really let it really let it go, you
Hmm.
probably wouldn't. Or maybe you could because you've been around Dwayne long enough.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it wasn't that challenging when I first earned my certificate and I started teaching. I had an experience with a young man. It was so funny too because he was deaf.
Hmm.
I was teaching high school at the time, 11th grade,
Hmm.
and this was my first year. And with a deaf student, they are required to have a translator. And his translator's job is to tell me everything that he said, and
Hmm.
she signs for him so that she can understand he can understand what I'm saying.
Hmm.
And I would realize that he had, this is a white kid, he had such a nasty attitude,
Mm.
to find out that he said, I don't want this nigga teaching me.
Wow. In sign language. Listen, I don't want
Yes.
to laugh about that.
Right.
It ain't funny. It's not funny.
I mean,
But
it's
can
funny now.
it's well, as I'm thinking about this, you have a disability. And
Yes.
even in your disability, you still have enough. You have enough, which you got from home.
Yeah.
You have enough in you to sign that you don't want a nigger teaching you
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And this is an 11th grader, right?
11th grader.
Okay.
And
Okay.
he could barely read, first of all.
Mm.
And the translator didn't want to tell me what he said, but you could tell in his body language this was something offensive that he said.
Right.
And I told her, if you don't tell me what he said, I'm gonna make sure you're fired
Hmm.
because your job. I don't want to say it. Okay, say it. So she tells me, and I report him to administration. I tell them, I want him out my class. I
Right.
want him out my class. But the principal, she said, nope, I'm not going to take him out. He needs to understand that you are capable. You are more than
Hmm.
capable. And he's
Hmm.
going to learn from this black person. That's all I.
Mm. Wow.
At first, I was so upset. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
teach you. I don't want to
Right.
teach you.
Of course. Of course.
But then later on, I understood where she was coming from because I'm going to do my job, regardless of you being a racist or not. I'm going to do my job.
Hmm.
But the school system, man, it's. But I've had challenges throughout. I've been fortunate to teach at a predominantly black school. Oh my gosh, this school is so black. I loved it. Loved
Oh,
it.
that's wonderful. Now let me ask you, going back to that deaf student, how did he did his stance changed by the end of the year, or you still had problems with him no matter what?
He just wouldn't participate. He
Oh
didn't.
wow.
So he failed. He failed.
Mm.
And kids say to me all the time, well, why did you fail me? First of all, I don't give grades. I
Hmm.
do not give grades. You have to earn
That's
your
right.
grade. You come in here and you either do your work or you don't do your work. If you do your work, guess what? You pass.
Hmm. Did
So,
you have
and the
any
way how,
interactions with the parents?
no, no,
Okay.
none at
Okay.
all. None at
Okay.
all. So, sometimes with these type of students, if you're most of the time, if you are a racist child, first of all, you're getting it from home.
Right.
These are usually parents who are not involved in their child's education.
Mm.
These are usually parents who themselves are not very well educated.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to expect to hear from parents like that.
Yeah. So I would
So
thought they would have may have come up and challenged,
no,
because okay.
no,
So
no.
having
But
said that, with your, you said you have a very extensive library of books, right?
yes, yes.
We know that you're in the state of Florida,
Mm,
and there has been a lot of changes due to, as he likes to call himself, the education governor, Ron
oh
DeSantis,
my
right?
God.
what has that done for you, right? So he passed the Florida Parental Rights and Education Act, that gives parents more control over what their children learn at school. Um, we know that he did the Stop the Woke Act, which was pretty big as far as doing away with some things. And we know AP courses, they're a little bit different, but he wanted to take away AP African American Studies and things like that. So has this had an effect on you with what you teach and the books that you have available for your students?
So
Uh-oh.
this this has been an awful time.
Mm.
I know teachers who have actually left because of this whole book situation.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's so bad.
Mm.
So I believe in. Well, let me start with this story.
Okay.
My mother used to read these old novels. They're called Mills and Boons,
Mm.
and they're romance novels. And people who are older, they would know there's a white man, chiseled chest, and he's on top of a horse, and
Yeah.
and he has really, really long hair.
Hmm.
And she would tell me, I don't want you reading these books. Well, if you tell me don't read something or don't do something, for me, it's challenge accepted.
Hmm.
So I used to go under my bed and I would finish all her novels.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
very young at this point. I'm in elementary school and I'm reading about how he takes my love into his arms. So for me, I believe that you should be able to read what you want. No, of course there's some sort of restriction. For instance, I found one of my seventh graders reading what's that name? It's such a terrible book, 50 Shades of Grey.
Hmm.
And no. I don't want you reading that. If you are going to read it, do not read it in my classroom.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
so there are restrictions.
Right.
However, the way how this law works, it assumes that every kid is on the same reading level. So they would give you a list of books that you can keep in your classroom. They would designate them seventh grade books, seventh grade reading level, or
Hmm.
sixth grade reading level, or 10th grade reading level. However, all students are not on the same reading level. All
Right.
students are not on the same maturity level.
Hmm.
So if you have a seventh grader who is reading at a ninth grade reading level or a 10th grade, some of them are reading at a college level because
Yeah.
their parents allow them to read.
Right.
They do not have access to books beyond seventh grade. So that stagnates their educational growth. If you can
Hmm.
only read at a seventh grade level, at this point, this child is bored. They're not
Right.
interested because I'm not learning anything. So
I've
people who
been
are
there, done
making
that.
right, people who are making these laws are not people who understand anything about the classroom. I got so mad at this because they asked us to, we had to list all of our books and so that they could go through this whole testing, making sure that I have the right books. And I
Oh, wow.
decided I wasn't going to do that because I have over 1,000 books in my classroom. Imagine typing
Mm.
in these books. And I
Wow.
decided, you know what? I'm boxing up everything. I'm not going to have anything on my shelves. And for a couple months, my shelves were empty. I have maybe about 12 bookshelves in my classroom.
Hmm.
So for
Wow.
some time, I had 12 bookshelves empty. And my kids would come in like, Miss Williams, what's going on? And I would explain to them, when you grow up, you need to make sure you're voting because this is what's happening.
Hmm.
But then
Wow.
after a while, I just did what they asked me, and I put back the books that they allowed me to put back. The others, I have them boxed up. But it's really stagnating the growth of children because if you are forced to stay within the confines of this box, How do you
Hmm.
grow? How do you step out of this box to grow, to get bigger, to elevate yourself when you are required to stay in this box? And that's what that law does.
So the school librarian had to come, or someone from the district came to say they're going to review all the books. Is that the
I
process?
I have to do it. I have to
Oh,
upload
oh,
these.
oh my
So
God!
I have to upload the information for all these books.
Oh my gosh!
I have to
Wow.
upload all. Now I have kids who read Stephen King. I have
Hmm.
seventh graders who read Stephen King. I don't like Stephen King. I am not reading. I'm not paying anybody to scare me.
Hmm.
But but who am I? Who am I to tell someone you shouldn't read this?
All right. It's not all his books are scary. I will say that. Now some of them are, but not all of them. But I
What is
get what you're
enough?
saying. One is enough. I got you. Absolutely. Absolutely. So they wanted you to up and I read where, they would criminally prosecute if you have these
Absolutely.
books. Wow.
So we had this
Wow.
running joke. We had this running joke that look, I'm not going to jail for a book because what do you tell the people in jail? I'm in jail because I wouldn't keep this book away from it. They're going to kill me in there.
Yeah.
I can't tell
Wow.
people I'm in jail for because I decided to have this book out. I have to tell them, I killed 10 people.
Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
So personally, you felt like this was impeding on your way of teaching and educating your class with these laws, right?
Right. Absolutely. So even with the curriculum, you're told what to teach. You're told what
Wow.
text to use. You're told. So your freedom as an educator is completely gone.
Mm,
Completely gone. And it's sad because people don't want to teach anymore.
right. Yeah,
People don't
it's
want
very
to.
hard.
It's so hard for. I remember when even the school that I'm at now, it used to be so challenging to get into that particular school. But now it's, oh my gosh, it's you're lucky if you get a substitute. It's terrible. The
Yeah,
the teaching the teaching world is so distraught at this moment.
yeah,
It's horrible. It's not. I don't even really tell people that I teach.
yeah. And that's sad because, you know, teaching was a revert, you revered it. I mean, you thought of teachers as high up there with your parents, at least when I was growing up, you know,
Yes.
because I can sit back and tell you all the teachers I had, even back in elementary school, you know,
Hmm.
um, and everyone was free to teach what they wanted. I
Yeah.
mean, hey, they taught us sex education at one point. I mean, I saw a
Right.
video at ninth grade. I was in the ninth grade center that said, you know what? I may have been doing this. I don't think I want to do it anymore. So stuff like that. It was educational. So for someone to pretty much prohibit you guys and put you all in a box, you
Look,
know,
it's as silly as if I wanted to call you Ronnie instead of
mhm,
Ronald. I
mhm.
have to get a signed paper from your parents allowing me to do that.
Wow,
It's
wow,
stupid.
wow, wow,
It's stupid.
wow.
So why would you even want to teach? So I don't know if you know that. You probably don't because my aunt,
Mhm,
our island is made up of villages.
mhm.
My aunt, my great aunt created the first school in our village.
Oh wow,
The
I
first
didn't know that.
school. My grandmother used to be a teacher. My mother used to be a teacher. I
Wow.
had absolutely no plans of being a teacher because teachers are poor.
Yeah. Right.
And I when I decided to become a teacher, I was actually going to law school to become a lawyer.
Mm.
And I became pregnant And I decided, okay, well, I'm living this America, and
Hmm.
I want to be available for this black boy that I'm
Right.
getting ready to deliver into this world. So I want to be on his schedule. I want to be
Hmm.
available to him. I changed my entire life for this child who now barely has time for me. Right?
Right. Right.
So I'm now a teacher because of him.
Hmm.
Because of him, I'm a teacher. Because these parents, not all of them, I have some wonderful parents. I have some wonderful parents. They are awesome. However, on the other hand, I have parents who are not involved at all.
Hmm.
And I don't
Hmm.
ever want to be. I don't ever want to be one of those parents.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because kids need support.
absolutely.
They really do.
And
Um.
just as you said that kids need support, as we're talking about being a teacher,
Mhm.
a lot of people, like right now, we're in the summer. We don't
Mhm.
get paid in the summer.
Right.
Right.
Which is a
So,
travesty.
exactly. Not only that, we don't get paid enough, period. I have a
Right.
master's degree, and I don't
Mm.
get paid like I have a master's degree. I feel like I have a
Right.
lot of degrees, and I have way more degrees than my brother who gets paid way more than I do.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right.
in talking about support, one of the things that I've realized in the last couple of years, I used to go to a lot of my kids' games and, their performances and this and whatever's going on, they would ask me to come. And in the past couple of years, I've been telling them, I can't come to your band concert. I can't come to your chorus concert. I can't come to your basketball game. Well, why can't you? Because I have to go to my second job. And I tell them
Mm.
this, I have to go to my second job because the school does not pay me enough.
Wow. Wow.
And a lot of teachers, very well qualified, over overly educated, but are getting paid literal peanuts.
Mm.
There are teachers who are right now in the summer getting food stamps.
Wow. Oh my
Mhm.
God.
So people don't know these things are going on. You want to help these students. You want to be there for them because a lot of them don't have the support at home. And the love
Mhm.
and support and the encouragement that they're getting, it's usually or mostly from these teachers.
Yeah.
But it's hard to provide, like how do you sacrifice your own family for someone else when
Right.
they're not reciprocating.
That's right.
So it's challenging. It's challenging to be a teacher.
So let me
Challenging.
let me ask you this before we get out of here. Do you would you have you ever considered changing professions, or this is just you love it so much that no matter the pay, you're gonna do this for pretty much the rest of your life?
Don't be insane. Ah, I love it. I love it so much. If I was to win the lottery today,
I
okay,
hit I hit that number one bestseller on New York Times. That's it.
I and the kids know. So even when they say, "See you next year, Miss Williams," we don't know because if Netflix picks me up,
That's right. That's right.
I make no plans for the future. I make
Hmm.
no plans for the future. I had no idea I'd be a college professor. You don't know in sitting down in any day. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
I didn't expect to be. I planned to be a lawyer. I was going to be the best black woman Matlock or Perry Mason
Hmm.
ever. And that
Hmm.
didn't happen. Right.
Yeah.
So now
Right.
I'm teaching. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow
Yeah. I get
because I have so many stories in my head. I don't know if Netflix is going to pick me up, Hulu,
you.
what.
Hey, if they
I'll, ta-
listening,
I'll
listen.
I'll take it. But in staying in education, I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I meet the most amazing students. This year, especially, was, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are white
Mm-hmm.
because of the school that I'm teaching in. And what I like about them is that they, if you're in my classroom, you're going to leave my classroom being able to write an essay, being able to read properly, if you choose to,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to know everything about St. Kitts.
That's wonderful. Well,
So it's
n-
I mean it's a situation, but it pays my bills, it gives me
yeah.
insurance, and it allows me to deal with this problem, this addiction I have, this shopaholic addiction.
Well, I don't want you to discredit yourself too much because I mean you have a passion. You know what I mean? Like when you
Yes,
talk
yes.
about education and teaching these kids, you really have a passion for it, and that some it seems unmatched at times. So Netflix, you know,
Yes.
Hulu, whoever, if you're listening, she's got two wonderful novels out there, neither out far nor in deep. Where is Naomi? She'll
Yes.
be great. She already got the screenplay and everything.
I'm
Listen,
ready. I'm ready.
thank you so much for coming on with Conversations with Ronnie Keith. I really appreciate it. I thank you so much. Please, everyone listening to this, please, you can go to Amazon.com. You can go to Walmart.com. You can go to Apple Books, Barnes and Nobles, bookshop.org, Books a Million, or even on her website, which is leahtwilliams.net. That's LeahtWilliams.net to purchase her book, Where is Naomi? Or purchase Neither Out Far Nor in Deep.
Or
Leah,
purchase both.
purchase both. Yes, absolutely. That's the key, man. Get a bundle.
Yes.
Purchase both of
Yes.
them.
Yes.
Leah, I thank you so much for joining Conversations with Ronnie Keith. I look to have you back on again, especially for the next
Thank
book.
you. Thank you for
Thank you.
having me.
Thank you. Thank you again for joining, Leah. I really appreciate the conversation that we had. Hey, please follow Leah. Make sure you check her out on social media at KittyWriter1 on Instagram. She is working on a third book. Listen, this young lady came over from the Caribbean and achieved. She pushed, self published her books, spent 3 weeks on, I'm sorry, she spent 2.5 months as number one on Amazon.com for her book, her first book, and she's working on her third one. So really, if you're looking to achieve anything, you're looking to do anything with your life, don't let any type of barrier get in your way of achieving. She reached out to agents, nobody wanted to help her, and so she did it herself. And a lot of times it could be discouraging because you just want to get something and you see that somebody else is doing it or somebody else is being successful. Don't wait or try to emulate what they're doing. Push and go for yourself. Do what you need to do for yourself. That's what Leah did. She self published these amazing books. So we celebrate her and we salute her. Just want to take the time out to thank you guys again. We'll be back next week. It'll be me and the missus again as we continue on with our journey, as we talk with you guys every other week. I want to thank you all again for listening to Conversations with Ronnie Keith.